Good morning, good morning. Morning. All bright and breezy today. Very good. So welcome to our first partners meeting of 22. Delighted to do this in conjunction with our close partners at the BID. As you know, we've been doing a lot of work with the BID right the way through the pandemic in terms of virtual events, keeping that now going. Great to have them in person, I think, rather than that dreaded Zoom and Teams. But so great, thanks very much for taking the time out to come. And also, we were delighted today to have Northwestern with us today, a really important conduit for us in terms of transport, and obviously our colleagues at MSP who do brilliant work for us on the AV side. Yeah. So, got a pretty packed agenda today. Probably, this is one of those agendas I'll probably look at the end of it and say packed in too much. But the context of it was, I think, in recognising that 21 was tough and really tough towards the back end in terms of the variant and the impact that had on businesses, having gone through a complete roller coaster over the previous 2 years. And we don't underestimate and understand the damage that has caused, and in a certain respect, we know the damage it's caused to our economy. It's lost 50% of its value over those 2 years, and though we probably recovered a little bit in 21, we're still way short of where we were pre-pandemic. So today is really much about the kind of positive steps that have been taken, the things that are happening in our part of the world, which I hope will give you confidence and belief that actually this year is going to be a good year. And that if we get a free run at it, and we get we're able to be a bit variant free between now and the end of the year, we've got a lot to look forward to. So you're going to hear presentations around a lot of new stuff today. So a lot of stuff around the content program for this year, around events. You're going to hear about new introductions, new product, new airlines coming into the city, a wide variety of different things that you can get your kind of heads around. Yeah, and the context of it is very much like the new Liverpool sign that we've just erected down at Liverpool 1. It's a big event for a big sign, for a big year, with a city with big ambition. So that's kind of the context of how we want the day to run. From your perspective, we always want to make sure that there is a bit of interactivity as well. So once all the speakers have finished, and if they all keep to time, which they've all told me they will, then we're going to do a Q&A panel at the end, so that rather than delay questions between each speaker, we can have that right at the back end. Yeah. So then all the speakers from today will join that, and then use the hashtag, for the event for social media purposes. But in the first instance, I'm going to invite Scott Brown in a second from this great hotel here, new edition, the INNSiDE Melia. But just before I ask Scott to come up, we'll just have a look at a little bit about the brand of.
Hi everybody, hello, and welcome to INNSiDE Melia Liverpool. When I stood here in this room, probably 2 years ago now, in a building site essentially, in the middle of a pandemic, or at the start of a pandemic, can't tell you how excited we would have been to fast forward to today and be sat here welcoming you all into the hotel. So honestly, we're absolutely thrilled to have you here. It's been 4 months now that the hotel's been open, welcoming guests, performing relatively well, given the circumstances, and embedding ourselves into the fabric of this great city. INNSiDE is part of Melia Hotels International. It's a Spanish brand, founded 60 years ago and still family run. It's the biggest European hotel brand, and we operate over 400 hotels in 40 different countries now. The brand had a history in resorts and leisure, so more kind of holiday destinations. When I talk to people about INNSiDE, they often look at me a little bit blank, and then I say Melia, and they say, I went on holiday there once, went to Benidorm once in whenever, which is obviously a nice kind of tie-up that people went there on holidays. But they acquired INNSiDE from a German operator about 13 years ago now. And they'd pioneered this sort of lifestyle brand, this INNSiDE lifestyle brand, which was kind of an accessible lifestyle brand. Blurs the boundaries between work and play. That's really key for us. And I think we've seen enough of you in our Sky Bar over the last 4 months to know that Scousers blend work and play quite well, which is good. We developed this INNSiDE brand over the last 13, 14 years to have a more Mediterranean look and feel from the original German brand, and really coined this term bleisure, where we mix business and leisure, and that fits for the demographic of our customers. We call them the curious ones, as the video suggests, people who switch seamlessly from business to leisure. They might come on business, but they probably want to hit the bar or go into town during their stay. And likewise, they might be on leisure and still want to keep connected and catch up. So that's really key for us, that we're not one thing or the other. We're something for everyone. We do that by being passionately different in every location. We're not the cookie cutter corporate kind of hotel that's the same in every single city. We want different looks, different feels, and different styles in every location. We empower individuality in our team members. You'll see perhaps even the way they dress or we dress. We're not in a charcoal grey suit with the same thing, different badge. We're really passionately different. And we champion the local area, and not in a cliched way either. We don't just have a couple of pictures of the Beatles and the Liver building and stick that up and it stays there for 15 years until we get another refurb. We do it differently. We partner with people, we collaborate, we say we flow. And we do that with collaborations like Slower Space, for instance, the florist that's based on Penny Lane, who has our entrance to the hotel. And over the weekends at the moment, and as we get busier through the weeks, they are there, doing their floristry and their homemade gifts, etc. Dot Art, the gallery that you may have seen on the breakout areas, they're a local gallery. They curate the gallery, and that changes every 3 months. So it's not just something we've bought and stuck on the wall. It's actually local. It's actually real. Jess Hanco was an artist who actually designed the uniform here for our team. So we don't just have the same uniform everywhere. She actually, played a part in that and has her artwork on our uniforms. So, proudly local and proudly collaborative. And we also made the decision to partner with an F&B partner, Gino De Campo. Some of you may or may not have experienced that. Worked on that for years, and it was delighted for us that came to fruition as a partnership, both here and in Newcastle and in our new hotels that will open over the coming years. The partnership really fits with our lifestyle ideals and brings a totally different vibe to the usual hotel restaurant. The restaurant's been slammed, super busy. It really has, and sometimes in a usual hotel restaurant, you'll be lucky to see 3 guys having a club sandwich, right, in the evening. So for us to have an absolutely packed restaurant and bar just brings a different dynamic and a vibe and an energy to our hotel, which we love. And excitingly, the Geno's team also look after the food and beverage here in events. So if you haven't experienced that yet, the banqueting food, the conference delegate food, it's just different from the usual hotel fare, which is great, and we're really thrilled about that. And last but not least, because Chris, I know, is wrapping me up here like the Oscars, we're just getting started as well. I take partial blame, sales, Brian and I would take partial blame for opening when we did this project, because we had business on the books, we needed to get open, we probably weren't quite ready, but we were kind of running very hard to look like we were ready. So there were things that just weren't yet finished within the hotel. We've got a further 150 grand's worth of investment going in this quarter on stuff, really exciting stuff. You know, breakout furniture, more artwork, Chromecast in every bedroom, coffee machines out in the breakout areas, you know, lots of really cool stuff that really kind of puts the flourishes on our INNSiDE brand. So, once again, really warm welcome from all of us. Thanks for being here. Brian, myself, Daniel, our hotel manager, we'll all be here post. So for show rounds, we'll try and get you together in little groups if you want to have a look round and see some of our bedrooms and the other meeting rooms, etc. And yeah, once again, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Scott, and thanks also for hosting today's event, and a great new addition to the city's hotel offer here. So we're going to crack on now. So we're kind of the world of transport has been like for a lot of business has been a challenging one, but transport and transport connectivity and working with transport operators absolutely critical to us in terms of working to bring people into the city here. And we formed a very good relationship with London Northwestern. That's an important one, particularly for this year in the context of the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, World Gymnastics for us here, and the opportunities to work between the two cities. So I think London Northwestern's commitment also in terms of sponsoring today's event. So to give you a little bit more about London Northwestern and what they're up to, please give a warm welcome to Tim Bullock.
Thank you.
And then I will switch my phone.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, hi everyone. Great to see so many people in a live event. I know it's been a little while for some people as well. Especially pleased that you turned up, considering that there's someone who's going to talk about trains for 5 minutes. So thank you for that as well. I'm not from Liverpool. You probably worked that already. Thought you might boo that. I was really pleased when I got in the taxi this morning because he recognised my Black Country accent, which is incredibly specific, and he was right as well. So I am from the Black Country. Yeah, I'm based in Birmingham. There are some words that probably give me away, like when I say money, that always tends to be a bit of a giveaway. Email, and if I ever say the phrase, we want to be together, do you remember that? That set us back about 20 years, that advert, but yeah. London North Western Railway, we are the green and silver trains that leave from Liverpool Lime Street. At the moment, we're doing about 400,000 passenger journeys every week. Obviously, that would have been a lot higher and has been a lot higher. So we're sort of on our recovery a little bit. So it's about sort of 50% of obviously where we'd like to be. In terms of the route, you're at the top. Liverpool's at the top. We travel down through sort of Stoke, Stafford, Crewe, that sort of way, into the West Midlands, really. And then we sort of back down the sort of M1 route down into London, really. So we are actually a London commuter brand primarily, but obviously connecting Birmingham and London. And we're extremely good value as well. So, for example, you can get to Birmingham for £10. You get to London for just £12.50 on our services as well. But obviously what we really want to try and do is to focus on Liverpool as a leisure destination as well. We want to make sure that people have an idea of something to do. I mean, we can talk about our trains if you want, but they're not that interesting. What we really want to talk about is around sort of what you can go and do, and things to people want to get people out and about again, really travelling into the cities. So we want to give people inspiration. And I suppose that's kind of where we can connect with you guys today. We want people to come to Liverpool. You want people to come to Liverpool. So my colleague Laura's with me today as well. So we'd love a chat if anybody would like to come to us with some ideas in terms of how we can work together. We're always looking for content and anything that we can shout about that will give people a reason to travel to Liverpool, as if they don't need one already. But I've just got one thing I want to talk to you today. I've got one. I haven't got very long, so I've got one thing, and it will change your life. This product. Probably oversold it a bit there, haven't I? But, yeah. But no, it's a new product that we've not long launched it. It's super practical, it's easy, and it's free. So let me introduce it. Okay, so this is a product. It's called Just Business. It's a free online platform for booking and managing business train travel. Okay, so at this point, I just wanted to have a quick think about the last time that you had to book train travel for your work purposes. So charging it back to the business. I don't know what your processes are for that. So whether you have to go and find somebody in your business who can book it for you, if you have to find someone with a credit card to book it on, or even worse, if you have to pay for it yourself, claim it back on expenses. These are processes that a lot of businesses do, by the way, but they're totally unnecessary. So we can help with all of that, and we can help solve those problems. So what we do effectively is we provide businesses with an account, we provide employees with a login, they can go and book their own travel, and then it gets charged back to the business. So you don't ever need to be out of pocket on expenses. And ultimately, the service is free to use. So if you are ever booking travel on expenses, or you've got a bit of a long-winded way of booking train travel, please come and talk to us, because we can definitely help with that. So it's a completely free service, did I mention that? Yeah, just to point out, you can book the fares on all operators. We can guarantee the cheapest fares. Okay, so just to explain a little bit more about how the product works, effectively, yeah, we can get you set up straight away. If you come to me today and say, Tim, sounds like a good idea, how do we get set up? I can have you booking travel on the platform by next week. It's really, really simple to get set up. Your staff have just provided a login. They can go and book their own travel, charges it back to the business, and then obviously, yeah, you still get the view of what everyone's booking. So you'll have admin who can have a look and jump in, see who's booking where. If anyone's booked a £1,000 first class ticket up to Inverness or something, then you'll see it. But yeah, it's full control over the product as well. So just to kind of recap then in terms of what the benefits are. So we can reduce your travel costs. Now, I don't know if you know what you spend at the moment as a business. So if you've got any visibility of that, but we can certainly help to minimise those costs. We can give you cheapest fares across all operators. There's no fees, no contracts, no minimum term. So effectively, yeah, you know, you're not tied in. If you want to just try the product, we're happy to do that. It doesn't matter if you've got 1,000 staff. It doesn't matter if you're just a one-man band. We can support you. And yeah, it just helps put all your travel in one place, like I said. So if I asked you today, how much does your business spend, and you don't know, then we can certainly help with that. And there is a help desk as well in case you have any problems. And then just quickly, just to sort of outline the benefits for your colleagues. So, like I said, if you're in a process where you're booking train travel and claiming it back on expenses, that should never be happening. That should never happen, really. There's ways around that, and I know that, you know, if I was asked to book a train ticket and claim it back, I'm skint, so I haven't got the money to do it. So I think it's you know, it's a bit harsh sometimes to expect employees to do that. So yeah, you'll never be out of pocket. You get your tickets on your email. So yeah, you can get them straight to you straight away, which obviously now everyone's working from home. That's really important as well. You book travel in minutes, and like I said, guarantee the cheapest fares. So if it's of interest, I hope it is. Yeah, the first step is probably speak to me afterwards. We can certainly help explain a little bit more about the product. But in terms of the sign-up process, really straightforward. Just let us know how you want it to set up. We can have it ready in a few days. Ping out an email to all your staff, and they can get booking travel straight away. So hopefully that's a really simple product, useful solution to you. And like I said, yeah, come and have a chat with us if that's of interest. Alternatively, if you want to chat about some more broader stuff about how we get people to Liverpool. That's it. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Tim. I mean, I was just having a look at our social media stats from the Christmas campaign, and that area around the West Midlands leading up through Crewe, Stafford is a growing area for us in terms of market penetration, and it's something that we're very keen. I was talking to Tim beforehand that we're certainly keen, because of that interface between two major events this year, to really build a strategic relationship with Birmingham to encourage, you know, Scousers to go to Birmingham, but more and more West Midlands to come to Liverpool. Yeah, so I think, and Tim's is a kind of key conduit to that in many ways in terms of the train operation. So we look forward to working with you on that, Tim, now and into the future. Right, next section of this is a kind of bit of a, not quite a double act, because I couldn't do a double act with Robin, he wouldn't allow me to do it with him, yeah. But a little bit of scene setting from me, and then I'm going to lead into Robin, who's then going to kind of give you a bit more depth as to the context of the event program. Yeah, so kind of just a little bit, I think, about what we learned from 21. So in a certain respect, 21 was it is start-stop year in many ways, but a year dominated by the domestic market. And you'll hear later from Lufthansa, one of the ambitions for us this year is to start mixing the domestic with the international. Yeah? But we learned a lot from that domestic market last year. We attracted a lot of people in that period from July to October into November that hadn't been to Liverpool before. Some of that was primarily because people probably couldn't get away, but also people wanted to explore different places other than the hotspots of Devon, Cornwall and the Lake District. So we saw a lot of people coming here for the first time actually on holiday, as opposed to just taking a 1 day or a 2 day break. So we started to see a different dynamic. And there's always kind of things in that space that give us an indication of that happening. One of them was the increased demand from dog owners for dog space. To say, I'm coming to Liverpool for 5 days and need somewhere to put my dog. And, can I get a hotel with a dog place? So we actually had a huge increase in people looking for hotel space. And then you start to get these different, and it started to reinforce, I think, what we'd done through some of the domestic campaign work, that this under this tag that we use in our domestic work of get away to it all, that actually this part of the world it can live up to what that says on the tin, in the context of not only of a vibrant city centre and a waterfront, but also that proximity to the countryside, to the kind of beach areas, to the rural areas, to Wales, to Cheshire, and into the Lake District. You start packaging that all together, then you come up with a very powerful proposition where Liverpool can be a place you come to just for Liverpool, but you can also use Liverpool as a base for elsewhere. I think that's something we're really going to build on into this year. It gave us some really interesting insights into that space. But obviously, it was, we made a good recovery. Liverpool performed certainly in the likes of hotel occupancy very strongly in late July, August, September, October, November, dropped off a cliff in December. And I think this shows that issue around customer confidence is so important. Yeah. So the domestic international outlook is going to be interesting this year. There's no two doubts about it. There will be a pent-up desire from people to go and find vitamin C, to go to the sun. So we think that dynamic will definitely shift. So, and we haven't quite, what the impact of Brexit is on the brand of the UK in the context of people coming in and using the UK, but Liverpool's brand in that space is very, very strong. Yeah? So we expect that international business to start coming back in 22. I don't think it'll come back to the levels we'd expect until 23, to be honest, because I think it's about operators having confidence about planning to make sure. Yeah? But as you'll have seen probably the other day, our friends in the cruise element, will bring in around 130 vessels again this year. A lot of those are turnaround, and that makes a big difference to us in terms of people staying, overnight. It is also a kind of symptomatic of the brilliant relationship that's been created with the cruise industry, where Liverpool helped that cruise industry last year, more than anywhere else, more than Scotland, I would say, but certainly helped that cruise industry and then the builders are. So there are definitely pockets of things there happening which give us confidence around the international market beginning, but the domestic market is one where we've definitely attracted new interest, so it's something we want to build on the back of that. And these are conversations that we have on a constant basis with Visit Britain and Visit England, yeah, because for a long time now we've been pushing Visit Britain and Visit England to basically give more focus to cities. Historically that has been much more of a focus on those kind of honeypots, Devon, Cornwall. It's always been on those sort of areas, less about cities. They have started doing a huge amount more about cities, recognising the value of cities, and that is brilliant for us because it gives us a chance to make sure that our content sits in their programming. So when they are marketing cities in the UK, you'll start to see increasingly more and more Liverpool content in that space, and that's not just on leisure tourism, that's across business tourism as well, which is a really, really important component of our offer here. So we're working with them at the moment about how we're going to kind of position Liverpool in their programs throughout 22. They also will go a little bit more on the domestic front in the early part of the year. So that's kind of where we'll kind of launch in around the sort of springtime into Easter, and then coming out of that, more into international as we see how that market begins to develop, with probably America being the most likely growth area. There's a lot of pent-up pent-up demand coming out of the States. So I think that probably is the area we will probably kind of put a bit more focus on. But from your perspective, it's really important that whilst we look at what we're doing here, it's really important that we project our offer into those other channels, into those other markets. That's where we get the amplification from. Yeah? This is really important. Now, to help us on that journey, been a lot of close work and collaborative work with the Growth Platform, the CA, to develop a destination marketing initiative for the next 3 years, which will give us the opportunity to amplify and pump prime all of that. Because the realization of understanding that the private sector have to rebuild your markets, you have to rebuild your business. What we need is public sector to come into that space and help on that journey until such time as business starts to get back to some degree of normality. That project is worth around 3.1 million over the next 3 years. It's a 50-50 between private and public sector. 2.4 of that will go into destination marketing for leisure and business tourism. Pete Sandman's working very hard on that, the Growth Platform, to get that grant funding agreement in place so we can start to move that forward. So we hear a lot more about that. That, I think, will be a catalytic moment because we also understand that every city's coming out of this at exactly the same pace. Everybody's trying to rebuild their markets, not just Liverpool. London particularly is going to do a lot of work. So we've got a lot of competition in that space as well. So we have to be, ahead of the curve if we're going to be successful. Running alongside that is a lot of conversations that are going on between the hoteliers and the bid in the context of the potential of a hotel accommodation bid. And these are sometimes about creating legacy models that give us the funding beyond the lifetime of where we are at the moment, because we need to be competitive. We need to have resources so that FAE can bring in business into ACC. We can get large-scale conferences. We can get large-scale sporting events in what is an immensely competitive market. So we have to give ourselves advantage in that space. So that is developing really well. It's also an initiative that is developing very strongly across other cities as well, yeah? As all cities recognise that we need to find different ways of getting our message out there. So there'll be more about that to come. And when I spoke last time, spoke quite a lot about sustainability. Spoke a lot about the kind of needs for us to begin to really, rise up the agenda, the importance of our destination and the product of our destination to really take this agenda on seriously, to basically stamp our green credentials all over what this place is all about, because increasingly on every bid, and Rachel Molyneux from our team will tell me that categorically, every bid that we now get for conventions and conferences is very heavily weighted to what are you doing around sustainability. Because those organisations also have to demonstrate, if they're bringing people internationally into this place, they want to know they're bringing them into a place that has got this high on their agenda. Yeah? And to be honest, we've got a lot of work to do in that space. So we're developing plans around that. We're having some really positive conversations with David and the guys at 2030 Hub who have done some huge amount of work in this space already, to basically pull together a plan to create a real sort of championship around the sustainability agenda, to really try and work with businesses who are doing some good stuff on this, because there's some businesses doing good stuff about this, and really begin to build some momentum over this. And it'll be I'm sure it'll be a part of Jen and Stuart's presentation around gymnastics as well as we do that. So this is a big subject for us, so we'll be coming out with some initiatives around that. The Green Tourism Initiative that we presented at the last meeting, we're just kind of finalising some stuff around that, because we've got to make that competitive. We've got to make that in such a way that it inspires businesses to want to get involved and it doesn't have a huge price tag against it. So we're working hard at that to make sure that that happens. Yeah. So that's going to be a big thing around that. We're also having a look at our ML partnership arrangements at the moment. It's a big shout out to all the partners who have helped us through 2021. You've been brilliant in very different circumstances. We're going to be sort of coming out with that very shortly, but what I would say is that it will be very commensurate with the current conditions that we're in. So we're very, very conscious of the challenges that all businesses have and the fact that resources are tight, so we will reflect that in whatever we do. And finally, there is an opportunity coming up on the 10th of March of the Tourism Awards to give an opportunity to recognise the businesses that have really gone the extra mile during what has been a very difficult period. I know Caroline would want me to say that, you know, tickets are still on sale for that, but they're selling fast, Caroline. That's the mantra. Yeah, selling fast, so get in there quickly. That is an opportunity, as I say. It's a chance for us to say thank you to businesses that have gone the extra mile, although many of you gone the extra mile in that period. So that's a kind of bit of a scene setting. We will be doing quite a lot of campaign work, so we'll kind of let you know. It'll probably still be under that banner of Get Away to It All, but we are going to kind of build on that success factor we do. We will also be doing a lot of work around business tourism and events, because we know that business tourism market is really important to us. And if there's one area that we also know is that's challenging for us at the moment is the corporate market and the return to office. So we're also having a look at that with a number of stakeholders at the moment, how we encourage people to come back into the city to work in your office, maybe not 5 days a week, but to make sure that the city centre doesn't become a ghost town as far as corporate. So Liverpool did particularly well because it's a very strong leisure destination. That's why we did better than Manchester or Birmingham. They were stronger on corporate. But actually we need that corporate business back. We do need it back. It might come back in a different way, but we need to make sure that corporate business returns. Yeah. Okay, so in moving forward, I'm just going to give you a short video here. This video is just one of the first campaign that we've done. This is with our cultural partners. Now, I've been very keen for a long time to get our cultural partners to work together at a destination level. Our cultural offer, as we know, is a real distinctive USP of this place, and we want to basically try and work with them to work in partnership with us. So we just started the campaign with them in January, and we're going to kind of continue to run that. We've done it slightly differently, so it's this video is a slightly different take on that cultural, a little bit more edgier, but it's a kind of sort of a symbiotic of us basically getting out there and shouting about the message and making sure that we're giving audiences good reasons to come. So I don't know if you've seen this, but hopefully you'll enjoy it if you haven't.
Welcome to the city where we're proud to be.
Chilling on the brow, pretty views we see.
Skating through the pier, people smile at me.
We're all family, no rivalry.
Welcome to my city, red and blue ride through my city. We're trying to show the life of the city, river shines in my city.
Lights looking pretty, humor witty, flying sky high in my city.
It's the LVP, come take a swim in the pool you see. It's the LVP, yeah. It's the LVP, we are the scene, love, vibes and peace. It's the LVP, yeah. It's the LVP, yeah.
Makeshift basements, two expansive stages, legendary status throughout different ages, visionary stories, jump off the pages, come from the places, read our faces, we the change, be captivated, stayed in this bliss after graduated, came on planes, came on the ships, we see the future, our power is ageless.
It's the LVP, come take a swim in the pool you see. It's the LVP, yeah. It's the LVP, we are the scene, love, vibes and peace. It's the LVP, yeah. It's the LVP, yeah. This is the art of the city, city of life, river life through the city. We are the culture, we are live from docks to riverside, stand tall and stand high. Our time is here, the time is now, listen. It's the LVP, come take a swim in the pool you see. It's the LVP, yeah. It's the LVP, we are the scene, love, vibes and peace. It's the LVP, yeah. It's the LVP, yeah. This is the art of the city, city of life, river life through the city. We are the culture, we are live from docks to riverside, stand tall and stand high. Our time is here, the time is now, listen.
a flavour. We'll be kind of say it, but that'll kind of integrate and merge into the wider destination work. But you know, we want to do that because cultural satellite, a lot of us had a bit of a hard time over the last few months and years as well. Yeah. So that's quite a good intro, I think, into Robin. Most of you probably kind of know Robin in many ways. He's kind of the creative director that works out of the city, but not only creative in terms of bringing events to the city like Pokemon and Craig, but upping our game in terms of the quality of those events, and what we create for ourselves, but also what we try and encourage to come to this place and really maximise those assets in the same context. I'm talking there about culture, about really doing that. So to give you a bit more of a kind of flavour of what 22 looks like and the kind of direction of that, a wee bit probably into 23, well, please welcome Robin Kemp.
Thanks, Chris. Right, I've got loads to do and talk about. I've got like 15 minutes, so I'm on it. Right, so first of all, thank you. So I'm going to just touch on a lot of different things at the top end and not in any detail, because otherwise I'll be here for hours. And I think the focus I want to, for this audience in particular, is just around some of the kind of the spine, I guess, of the big moments in 22. But also just to say, off the back end of what's been, you know, such a hard kind of last couple of years, is that our planning cycle is really, really condensed here. So we've also got 4 really major projects that we haven't quite got over the line for 22 that we should get over the line in the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So there's a whole other layer of content to come on top of this as well. But hopefully this kind of gives everyone a sense of kind of where we're going and the kind of plan over the next kind of 12 to 18 months. So the actual context around this is that, you know, culture's being used across the UK in kind of 2 key areas at the moment. One around re-engaging communities that struggled during the pandemic. And secondly, as Chris talks about, around programming to kind of drive people back into city centres. And what we're seeing is mass investment in this space. So where culture and creativity, we felt like we had a bit of a kind of niche in Liverpool and a stranglehold for a decade, people are catching up with us, right? You know, there's no doubt that the level of investment from many other cities is increasing in this space, and we're finding that stuff that would naturally want to come and be in this city, we're in a competitive market now. So we haven't up our game as well in terms of that. And there's 2 projects there, Commonwealths, which Chris mentioned, then Unboxed, which used to be, originally it was called the Brexit Festival, then it was called Festival 22, it's now called Unboxed. That's the thick end of £250 million of investment in the West Midlands alone, right? None of that money is currently sitting in the Northwest. So we're really having to battle kind of investment with content and creativity. So this is a really, really competitive market. Don't read this. But basically what this is really saying is that it's absolutely critical that we get this right. And it's critical that actually the story we tell is an evolving story. So we know the Beatles are critical and crucial and important to tourism in Liverpool, but actually what's more interesting to us is what the Beatles stand for, around creativity, innovation, distinctiveness, globalisation. And if anyone has watched the kind of Disney documentary that was over December, I mean, it was almost like the best sort of 9-hour advert for Liverpool, I think. Just this idea of these 4 lads that just, you know, were just friends doing incredible stuff together that ultimately kind of changed the world. That's very much our view on this stuff, right? We have to begin to be telling that story about what Liverpool is to a global audience now, not the kind of algorithmic view of Liverpool, which is football, Beatles, Liverbirds, right? So Chris talked about just showed the video. That's exactly the point. You know, we're beginning to move that story on around what Liverpool represents. And although we're an event city, and I'm going to talk about lots of events here, I think we've all recognised that actually the greatest value is what we've already got. So actually our ability to continue to tell that story about actually when you're here, it's an extraordinary experience in a similar way to the way that you go to Berlin, Rotterdam. You don't go to those places specifically for an event, you go because you know there's going to be an amazing time there. That's exactly what we're trying to create around Liverpool, right? We know we've got that content, we need to just tell that story. So a lot of our focus over the next 2 years is going to be about enabling some of the sector back into that space and also supporting and telling that story to a global market. And that kind of falls into 3 areas really in terms of content. So you've got like a national attractors audience, so the big ticket events, kind of what I'm going to talk about today, and that's about national audience and global reach. And our focus is in 3 areas really. So it's around music, because we've got such a distinctive USP there. It's around families, which is obviously a growing and kind of really important audience for us. And then city centre festivals, I've put that up there because what you're going to start seeing is less greenfield festivals. So we're going to be doing, over the next couple of years in particular, less stuff in parks, and more things in the city centre. So for a couple of reasons. One, it's a sustainability point. Festivals take up a lot of time, energy, resource. You have to put in big diesel generators to run them. But also, the economic impact for people in the room and for the kind of wider sector is so much stronger when we're in in the city centre. So actually, we're going to start doing much more work where we integrate existing festivals into existing infrastructure. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be big outdoor shows. There are going to be lots of those things, but they're predominantly going to be run by third-party and private promoters. And I should say, to kind of Chris' point, like, in the last probably 3 to 4 months, we have been inundated with promoters who want to work in Liverpool. So there are 3 or 4 new major music events that will be announced. They're not mine to announce. I'm not going to announce them, but they'll be announced kind of coming weeks, which are going to be happening in the city across the summer, as well as the emergence or the coming back of some of these festivals that haven't happened, OEA, stuff like that, as well as the return of things that have run during the pandemic, things like Let's Rock, which bring a really, really significant number of people into the city. So what we've already got is a really great core of that stuff. The second 2 areas we're not going to talk too much about today, but are kind of critical to what we're doing in the city. The second is around this idea about Liverpool Voices, and that's about content which is distinct and diverse voices of the city. And I kind of summarise that sort of around diversity in the progressive city. Like, the idea of diversity and representation has obviously been a massive thing over the last 2 years. And as a city, we've been actually really, really good on that in the last kind of 10 to 15. But actually how we tell that story and how we move that story on is really interesting. And a project we did last year, which was called Statues Redressed, which some of you may have seen, which basically was where, rather than talk about toppling statues or taking them down or apologising, but we actually asked artists to reimagine those statues by creating new outfits for them that tackled some of those questions. Has gone massive, so that's now a kind of global conversation. We've been invited to all over the world to discuss it, and actually what it's beginning to see is us tackling, using art and creativity and culture to tackle some of these big societal questions in a really interesting way. And the third is the idea of culture everywhere. And this is, I've been banging about this for years, but this idea that actually we need to be better about how we integrate creativity and culture into everything as a city we do. And I think what's going to really begin to kind of come to the fore in the next kind of couple of years is the alchemy between arts and science. So what we're beginning to see is this really fantastic emerging science sector and established science sector in Liverpool, I should say. Actually, how we begin to tell our story about how arts and science kind of work together is going to be crucial. So what you're going to begin to see is as with the campaign that's begun, a much bigger push towards actually just how integral culture, creativity, art is to this city, how important it is to visitors to kind of come here, as well as just, not simply just we put on really big events and they're good fun. Actually, it's much, much, much deeper than that, and that's going to be a more sustainable and ultimately a more kind of viable and fundable proposition going forward. But we also still like to do big stuff. So 22, without question, it is on. That's what we're kind of pushing towards. So big ticket events for this year. So Chinese New Year, we're bringing it back much bigger in the next couple of weeks when that returns. So again, we know that's a local regional audience, but a really, really significant event and another great day in the calendar to really kickstart 22. So investment's going into that as a programme. I think there was a programme announcement earlier in the week and more to come in terms of that, but we know it works well, really good local audience, and we'll kind of build people over the course of those 2 weeks. Good Business Festival, right? I want to talk about this briefly. So this feels like I've talked about the Good Business Festival for my entire life, because we've kind of been doing it and then we've had to move it and postpone it 3 or 4 times now. But actually in that, what it means is that over the last 2 years of us working on the Good Business Festival, actually it's kind of already done a great job for us, which is we've established this really brilliant international and national kind of platform around ethical and value-led business, and we've got loads of really good reach and interest and investment that wants to come into it. What that's allowed us to do is actually the festival in March, we've actually pivoted it, working with, obviously this is a Liverpool City Region funded project. This is very, very, very much now about kind of practical, localised opportunity for business. So if this is something that's kind of passed you by so far, A, well done, but B, you really need to get on board with this. In that, what we are doing across those sort of 3 days in March is we are setting out a whole range of opportunities, a whole range of learnings, amazing speakers, brilliant kind of platforms for people to come and understand how businesses across the board can move forward in a more ethical, value-led way. So that's around sustainability, but it's also around green, it's around employment law, it's around the pivot and changes to what's going to be happening over the next few years socially. It's an incredibly exciting programme. There's a really subtle QR code that's on there if anyone wants to kind of scan it. But I strongly urge, if you haven't yet kind of registered for the event, do so now, because that's going to be a really brilliant event. And also I think a kind of platform and a network for how we're going to begin to move forward in terms of integrating culture and creativity and business as well, really crucially. So it's a kind of combination of lots of different ideas and work in one place. So really, really, really big push towards that. So please make sure that, I've got all your names, and if you're not registered within a week, then shit's going to go off. Then it begins. So the national returns after 2 years. Guys got huge plans there. That's going to be a massive, massive event for us. We know the world's watching, but from a city perspective, we're working with the Grand National guys to get behind that. The Waste lunch is in February, and that will begin when the kind of countdown towards the start. So again, really, really big and great that these things actually, because they haven't happened for 2 years in the audience, suddenly feel like new events again, right? You know, actually, it's exciting that the National's going to be coming back. Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder. This is an amazing piece of business by NML, by National Museums of Liverpool. Again, what we know works really well, longer term installations, exhibitions that attract family audience. You know, this is a brilliant one. It's essentially about science and Doctor Who, so educational fun with that amazing IP. So a really, really great thing for us to have throughout that kind of the summer months in Liverpool, something for us to all really kind of get behind in that regard. Then we head on to the Jubilee weekend. So this is our kind of, I guess, as a city perspective, this is the really first big moment in the year. So you'll all know it's a 4-day bank holiday, so it's 2nd to 5th of June. And there's kind of 3 key strands to this. And the first big thing I want to talk about, which we haven't actually got the artwork for yet, but it'll be done very soon, is a project called Taste Liverpool. So for a number of years now, we've been working with the hospitality sector. Paul Askew is the kind of chair of that, and with Bill in the bid around the development of a kind of a concept around a sort of food and drink festival for Liverpool. And honestly, we've never quite got it right in terms of the kind of the development and planning around it, because it's always felt a little bit like there's too much of an ask on the hospitality sector and restaurants and bars to almost come out of their restaurants and bars to be part of something. And so with Taste Liverpool, the plans to do the absolute opposite. So actually what we're asking is there's going to be a call out in the coming days, weeks, which is basically we're going to have a core throughout the city of Spine, which will be Hope Street, Bowl Street and Castle Street. And what we're going to be asking is restaurants, bars, for that 4 days to get involved, to put on amazing menus, to do incredible options and offers and exciting content within your own restaurants, right? This is about driving in. For our part, what we're then going to do is we're going to create a party around the city. So we are going to animate the streets. We're going to be music, performance. There's going to be dressing, and we're going to be working with, again, I'm not sure if this is announced. Well, so we're working with we're going to be working with Bordeaux. So the Bordeaux Wine Festival is going to return as the headline sponsor for that event, and we're going to be taking over the town hall and the area at the end of Castle Street. Probably don't tweet that, by the way, because I don't think that's been announced. At the bottom of Castle Street, and turn that into the kind of a kind of slice of France, really, at the bottom of it, as it's in its own right, a kind of destination piece of event. We programmed it for that 4 days to give it the best possible chance of a big kick-off start, but we see this as a returning project. It's something that actually, over the coming years, becomes a really, really significant kind of moment in the calendar. And this is got to be owned and wanted by the sector, right? So we're bringing in a project director who will hopefully be able to announce next week, who'll be able to kind of take the lead on driving that project. But what we really want is the creativity and innovation of what is now an extraordinary food and drink sector in this city to kind of come to the fore and we platform it for you. So we're trying to build models that work for you, right? And so that's the kind of key bit here. We'll put on the party, you bring the content. Pomp on the Pier is our take on the Jubilee. So in terms of those kind of classic celebrations, there's going to be across the Thursday and Friday of that Jubilee weekend. The kind of classic stuff you'd imagine, lots of flag wavy, brass bandy vibes, really, really good fun. And on Saturday night, I can't announce it, but a really exciting kind of project that will take over the city on the Saturday night, which ties into Taste, which again will attract a kind of national, possibly international audience into it as well. So what you've got across that weekend is us doing those 4 days in a really unique and Liverpool way, right? And actually, we hope an opportunity for you guys to get involved. So as soon as possible next week, when the content off the back of this, or the note off the back of this meeting goes out, there'll be contact details on that to get involved. If you want to get involved in any of those things, please immediately get in touch because we're building that program right now. There you go, they're on there. Liverpool International Music Festival will return, but as I mentioned previously, we'll be bringing that more to the city centre. So it will be over a longer period of time, and it'll be focused more on city centre venues. and is a similar thing for a number of other kind of music events we do, is about us driving people back into the city centre, right? So this is very much about using existing infrastructure and using it as a platform to build people in. And touch that then across the summer will be a programme which is currently called Hide and Seek, which will be a whole range of really, really high quality local and international artists and street artists working around the city for us to create over the course of sort of 4 weeks, a whole range of installations, artworks, experiences people can come in and explore and discover. And again, city centre focused, creating this kind of trail feel so we can move people around the city centre, take them to different places. You know, we're really, really working our programming around how we can move an audience, a new audience into the city that's either regional, national, local, into the city and take them to places that they might not normally go to. And then just another, just because it's working so well for us, is the relationship with Cream. Cream announced they're going to return to the waterfront in September. It's going to be a multi-day festival on the waterfront, and again, a really brilliant example of how the private and public sector are working well together there. We help Cream to enable that kind of festival to happen, but obviously with their extraordinary reach and their ability to put on stage just incredible shows, this is the kind of future for us, you know, big city centre projects that are a kind of private and public sector kind of partnership. And again, a project that did used to happen in Sefton Park, now centred around the city centre, about kind of driving footfall back into to support the recovery. Keir Starmer's coming in September, possibly, who knows. So again, Labour Party, just wanted to put it in there to kind of show again, Chris, you know, this is more Crystal World than mine in terms of driving that business tourism, such an important kind of project and opportunity for you guys as well. And then we hit this kind of massive autumn. So I'm almost on time now, which is good. So basically, we thought long and hard about the summer, and the summer is absolutely nationally jam-packed. So you've got the Commonwealth Games, you've got content happening all over, and you've also got this sudden surge of 2 years worth of kind of festivals that haven't happened, that are now just happening across the summer. And we had lots of conversations with lots of promoters, and it's just full, right? So there is no point in us over-programming into the summer. This summer's going to sort itself out. We are going to be busy, and the national profile is going to be busy anyway. There's going to be a lot of people. So actually, from the outset, we've thought more about autumn being our kind of our big moment in 22. And so what you've got is this kind of coalescing of sort of 4 things. Turner Prize returns to tape for the first time, which is obviously massive. You've got the World Photography Awards, Sony, which is the first one that's ever not been in London, which is a project the Open Eye Gallery have led, coming as well. And then us returning with River of Light. So River of Light has, over the last 4 years, grown into kind of quicker than we wanted it to, into a pretty kind of extraordinary success story for us, really. What started out as us moving the fireworks from Sefton Park onto the waterfront. Anyone who remembers the first year of that and the classic hashtag River of Shite will know it was kind of quite brave of us to kind of keep going with what we wanted to do, which was we knew we needed to move away from a 15-minute event to something that kind of now bridges 15 days. River of Light now, or in the last iteration, was 17 artworks, just short of 200,000 visitors, and has now got an international profile that means that we're getting investment support and artists who want to come work in the city. This will be our kind of biggest one ever. It will run a similar kind of course, and the first week of it will be standalone, and then the second week of it will run at the same period as Gymnastics. But I'm not going to steal Jen's thunder. I'll just talk about that in a minute. So the idea being that over the course of that sort of 4 weeks, sort of from October all the way through into the start of November, just pre the Christmas period, we've got this really, really significant, really high quality national, international drawing content that we're going to package up as a major push. So River of Light, this year, the again not announced yet, but the title of it's called Unexpected Twist. Ties into the gymnastics nicely, but also we're working with the artists to create these kind of extraordinary experiences that you won't expect. What I want from this assembled glory in front of me is I want you to get involved in it. So what has started to happen is we've started to see some sort of partners and friends kind of begin to get involved, and it worked really successfully for them. So, as an example, John Lewis this year just did a really simple colouring competition for one of the artworks, worked really well, drove a family with the audience into John Lewis, great for us, helped build and grow the profile. What we want to do this year for River of Light is a similar model, but it's kind of like an open call. And again, we'll send out a note off the back of this with kind of contact details. We want to, and what happens really well in international light festivals is everyone gets involved. So restaurants put on River of Light specials. Potentially there could be kind of light artworks that could happen in and around buildings or in businesses, whatever. We really want River of Light to begin to feel like it's owned by the entire city, not being done to the city. So it's such a long period of time. It's there for sort of 15 days this year. We want to develop a program alongside the kind of core program of what we're doing, which is about experience. And what we know is we get a big influx of an audience, a family audience that are there for 2 to 3 hours, who then at 9 o'clock disappear. And what we're trying to do is work out, can we keep them in the city for another, an hour or so, and keep them in your bars, restaurants, hotels. So what we really want is ideas, sort of opportunities that we could exploit, maybe some spaces that we might be able to work with artists to create works in. But we really want to turn River of Light into what we think it has potential to be, which is kind of the kind of premier sort of light festival in the country. Sort of over sort of Strip Durham, who currently hold that crown, but they're only on for 3 nights, which is pathetic. So we really want to kind of build that and grow that, and we think it's a great time of year for us as a business to do that. So I'm now over time. So as I say, that's literally the tip of the iceberg in terms of the other content that's coming in. Hopefully you get a sense of kind of the scale of what we're trying to do. We're trying to continue to bring in work that's not just one big night, but actually has got length and kind of begin to kind of attract an audience for a number of days, period of time. And actually, I guess this is very much a kind of appeal, right? You'd be surprised at how little anyone in the city gets in contact with me. I get lots and lots of phone calls from international promoters, from national promoters. I very rarely hear from anyone in the business sector about here's an idea, here's a space, here's an opportunity, if ever, right? And so this is very much a chance to say, look, this is the beginning of us really trying to integrate and work some of our content into opportunities for you guys and benefits for you guys. And ultimately, that's what we're here to do, to try and kind of support and grow the economy in the city and its reach. So that'll do for me. I'm going to hand over to Chris, who's going to plie onto the stage before he introduces stuff around the gymnastics. So thanks a lot.
Right, so we'll see what your inbox is like in a
well, listen, bring it on.
So I think the key message out of that, I think, in a way, is how you as businesses can engage in that program, and how, because amplifying it through your marketing channels, giving reasons to play and stay in your hotels, use your bars, use your restaurants. We're trying to create an immersive experience here when people arrive in a place like Liverpool. And we've got major events on everywhere. It looks like that is participating in that event. Do that well in certain cases, not as well as we should. So there's a great platform there over the things that Robin's talked about. And I hope it gives you a kind of sense of still the retained ambition of the city to make sure that it's at the forefront of innovative, creative and really large scale events. So leading off the back of that, I'd like to now move on to World Gymnastics, which is a kind of bit that Robin talked about. And I'm going to introduce now Stuart and Jen Faulding to basically talk about that. 2 different contexts for that, really. Stuart is the director of World Gymnastics. He's got a specific focus on making sure the World Gymnastics works. He's going to pick up a lot of the storyboard that we've talked about so far today, and he will be supported by Jen Faulding, who looks after kind of Sport Liverpool, and that's much more about us basically setting our sporting ambitions out, working with the likes of UK Sport and stuff to really make sure that we're on the radar for future world and international sporting events. So I shall hand over to the 2 of you. You're doing this sort of double act wise, and you'll hear a bit more now about World Gymnastics.
No fear. King. Yeah. I'm strong.
Hello everyone, my name's Stuart Campbell, Championships Director for World Gymnastics Championships. You just saw there was actually produced a little while ago when our tickets went on sale. And Chris, you mentioned something about tickets earlier. I'm happy to say our tickets are very much selling fast for World Gymnastics. So if you're looking for some, please definitely look into that right now. I think I'm just going to connect again to something Chris said earlier, and I wrote it down here. I thought it was a nice little tagline. From vitamin C to vitamin G, Chris. Vitamin gymnastics, and I think that's what we're here to talk about, and I just realised I've not clicked the next slide, sorry.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Lots of information here. And I'll go through this in a little second, but just to talk about sustainability. Sustainability is very important to myself, but it's very important to the World Gymnastics Championships overall. I think international sporting events have a significant environmental impact due to the nature of them. They're temporary setups. They will cease to exist afterwards. You can only really have short-term visions and goals as an organising committee. And of course, you're flying in athletes from all across the world. So it's looking into what can we do and what can we do in partnership with Liverpool City Council to lengthen those sustainability visions. And there's three main areas that we sort of look at, and that's social, economic and environmental. I am aware these are not on the slide right now. I just wanted to talk about this briefly. The environmental focus is really much what we do operationally and what we do with the venue, and across the ACC campus they're well versed in sustainability initiatives and really benefit from that. From an economic point of view, any partnerships that we encounter and through our procurement process, it's a really important part from any suppliers that we work with, that they have the same values and initiatives as us. And then social, I won't go into too much detail on that because Jen's going to touch on that a little bit later. I think what I wanted to say, and I think everyone in this room is well aware, and everyone around the world, Liverpool is an incredibly culturally rich city, but full of history. But what I really appreciated was the video Chris showed earlier. That's the vision that is the future of Liverpool, and I think that's the USP. It's a city that works together with its partners here in the room to focus on the future and innovate for the future and attract a wider audience, which I know is longer term goals for Sport Liverpool as well by bringing events like this. This links into gymnastics as well. It's also a sport that's focused on innovation. Sometimes with some international federations in Switzerland, they're sort of stuck in their traditional ways, but we work very closely with them to help take it forward from an athlete welfare perspective and also from spectator experience and the wider stakeholder experience, such as broadcast and media. I'll stop rambling now and tell you a little bit about the actual event. So it's happening between the 29th of October and 6th of November. These are our competition dates. The event itself extends beyond that. We have the ACC campus for approximately 2 weeks, leading up to that through athlete training and various builds that we need to put into the venue itself. The World Championships of Gymnastics is the pinnacle of the sport. This is the first qualifier event for Paris 2024 Olympics from gymnastics perspective. And I think that's the important thing to take here is this is the world's greatest athletes coming to this city. And I can't stress that enough, because with that, and I'll go through some statistics in a minute, but with that comes the reach, the global reach that you're going to get. And I think it's the platform for everyone in this room to benefit from and to work with us, to work with the city and make sure you're utilizing gymnastics to the advantage of the city itself. I think we'll just go into the next slide here. Just some stats up there. So we're looking at sort of 550 gymnasts from across the world. We're looking at 75 countries globally. Some of the big ones in gymnastics you can imagine are USA, Russia, GB itself, and some of the Asian nations as well. I won't go into too much detail about some of the stats there about the individual routines, performances, men's apparatus, but as you can see, it's a significant event in terms of the competition. Now, one thing, and these statistics for me are incredible, these statistics are from the last World Gymnastics Championships in the UK, which was held in Glasgow in 2015. Now, we're anticipating an increase on these statistics through some of the innovations with the International Federation, but you're looking at a broadcast reach, 650 million people globally. It's huge, and you know that's a broadcast. That's broadcast in Liverpool to the world, literally to the world, showcasing the sport, showcasing the culture, and hopefully increasing tourism beyond that as well. As you can see, the largest market there is Asia, over 450 million there as well. Our host broadcast partner is the BBC, We're working with the BBC to schedule our live coverage and make sure that we're getting those key moments, key finals, opening ceremony, those elements live on TV. And we're also working with the BBC in their launch of BBC Three, which launches in about 2 weeks-ish, I think, in February, back on terrestrial TV, which is fantastic news for them and increases the coverage we'll be able to get there too. Just some of the audience demographics, and in terms of the spectators attending, we'll have over 40,000 ticketed spectators in the arena. This is a mixture of national and international. Typically for this sort of event, you'll have a high percentage of international visitors. We are seeing a sort of slight uptake on that now, whereas ticket sales sort of last year were very much focused on domestic with COVID travel behavior, etc. It's very much a family-orientated audience, a young audience, and this is how we're tailoring our cultural program towards, and as was mentioned earlier about the unexpected twist and the River of Light, we really want to integrate this event with everything that's happening in the city. We also have a fan zone operating at the ACC campus, which is a non-ticketed fan zone, and we're working to make that as interactive as possible, having elements where people can come and just learn about gymnastics, try out gymnastics in there themselves, looking at virtual reality pieces, again, using innovation, thinking forward how to enhance that spectator experience, things that have never been done before. And I will pass over to Jen.
Cheers. And this is the bit, that we do best. We all know that we are great at welcoming people to our city, and we want to really showcase Liverpool, because actually the city is our stage and it's about being in Liverpool. That's from the minute the visitors arrive to the minute they leave. It's not about when they're in ACC Liverpool. So we want to extend their stays. We want to get them to go to River of Light, go to the Turner Prize, go to all your businesses, spend their money, stay longer. That is one of our remits for doing this event. We know we've got a fantastic city, we know we've got amazing people, but we want to tell everybody else and tell them to tell everybody else when they go home. We will be using Visit Liverpool. We're not going to ask you to put all your stuff on another website. There's absolutely no point in that. We will be using Visit Liverpool, so make sure all your stuff's on Visit Liverpool. We will be working with Visit Liverpool on stories and press trips, etc., to make sure that story, that Liverpool message is all joined up, because that's really, really important. One of the key things we want to do for this event is we want it to be the best event for spectators, but we also want it to be the best event for the athletes as well. They've had a few less great experiences over the last couple of years with COVID. They've not been able to do anything. They've not, they've been in their bubbles. We really want to make sure that they come out of Liverpool and going, that was an amazing event for us. And we're working with athlete representatives on our board to work with us to say, actually, what are those little bits and pieces that we could do to make their lives better, that will make them go back and go, you know what, that was an amazing championships, and really give me the opportunity to perform to the best of my ability. And we will be bringing our board member, Christian Thomas, who's a former athlete, a former gymnast, to come and meet the hotels, for example, to say, these are the little things that you could do that actually are not going to make a big difference to you as an organisation, but would make a fantastic difference to me as a gymnast. So we can really give that Liverpool welcome to everybody who comes, the media, that Stuart's already mentioned. So, we, as well as wanting to deliver an amazing sport event, we really want to deliver an amazing message about Liverpool and make sure that we attract return visitors and new visitors to the city.
This is a double act that seems to be working right now. The reason I put this slide up, and I'm not going to talk through everything here, but was just to show you the journey we're on. Jen's been on this journey a lot longer than I have, but we're now in 2022, and I can't underestimate how exciting this is for us to be in the year of the event and how significant it is for the city. But this is the journey to show you. Don't wait until October to become involved with us. Speak to us now. Let's engage. Let's plan across the year ahead. But just some things I wanted to highlight there. We've launched our volunteer program this week. It's really exciting, and that'll sort of close in February. You saw some of the messaging before. Greatness awaits. This has been our messaging building up to 2022. What you're going to see next month is as we transition to welcome to our world. We're no longer awaiting, we're in our world, and when we're saying our world, it's the world of gymnastics, it's Liverpool, what Liverpool stands for in 2022. So you'll see sort of our messaging transition into that shortly. In March, the British Gymnastics Championships will be taking place again at the ACC campus, which has, I believe, been happening for over 10 years, or circa 10 years in Liverpool now. This is, again, a really special event for us to go in and see how that works and innovate with them and work with our partners at British Gymnastics too. And a few other things there has been mentioned already. The Commonwealth Games taking place this summer. It's a really good opportunity for us to piggyback on the back of that and benefit us. We work very closely with all the major sporting events taking place in the UK at the moment and collaborate as much as possible. And then, you know, as we sort of get closer to the event and 1 month to go, and in August, our city dressing program will begin. And this is, again, where we can engage with shop fronts or windows or any opportunities that may be available, linking into this unexpected twist and making this a seamless spectator journey wherever they are in Liverpool, down to the waterfront and down to the ACC campus. And I won't talk too much about River of Light. I think it's already been covered, but yeah, we're going to, you know, make sure that's in tandem and try and bring River of Light inside to the arena. And we've got a great creative team that are working on that are much better than I am, so I won't even attempt to cover that. And then I just wanted to mention some of our ambassadors. Beth Tweddle, of course, synonymous with Liverpool, and we work very closely with Beth, and she's fantastic. And Jem mentioned earlier about Christine Thomas on our board, who's an ex-athlete. Beth works with us on a number of things, most recently on our medal design, where it's really helpful for us to get that athlete insight and helps promote the event, many other opportunities. Paul Curtis, I'm sure everyone in this room will be familiar with Paul Curtis, a local Liverpool artist. We've worked with him on a couple of pieces previously, and we're in talks at the moment just again to give that cultural feel and that different non-sporting element to make sure that we're capturing that for the event. And there's some more pieces to be announced down the line on that. And Max Whitlock, again, you know, it's most recently one of the greatest gymnasts from Team GB, specifically in the men's category. He's an ambassador of ours. He's also an ambassador of Birmingham Commonwealth Games. So again, it's a bit of the collaborative piece we do there. We're actually doing some filming with Max next month. And I think recently promoted from MBE to OB. Is it called a promotion? I'm not entirely sure. So it's an upgrade, perhaps. So yeah, we work really close with ambassadors for those sort of voices. And I'm going to pass back to Jen on this one.
As much as we've talked about why the events are important to the city centre and to the economy, they're also really important to the people of Liverpool, and we really don't want, and that's one of the main reasons that we did take this model on, is that we don't want these events to just come in and disappear again. Actually, it's about our communities and our residents. You know, it is about sport participation, but it doesn't matter if people aren't getting involved in gymnastics. If they go to a gym club and they see karate or boxing or whatever, if they're active, that's great, because that really helps our city. You know, we're really working in schools. An education pack will be released in the next week or so. We'll be having a schools day. We really want to make sure there's affordable tickets as well, and get it, and also that participation element again. We're not just concentrating on the kids though. We are also working in care homes with the Love to Move programme with British Gymnastics, how we use that movement to help dementia patients. So it's about looking at the opportunities for our residents, volunteering. Yeah, some people are already volunteering, but other, younger people getting into volunteering to learn new skills that then will give them opportunities in the workplace. So we really want to make sure that this is something that we work with all of Liverpool on, and it really benefits to the city, but doesn't stop when events leave, and that's a real priority and something we've done quite well over the years. So the key one is, how can you get involved? Well, obviously, you mentioned Visit Liverpool. Make sure all your stuff's on Visit Liverpool. That's where the attractions, experiences, the offers will be. We won't be reinventing the wheel. We will be telling everybody to go there. Follow us at WGC 2022, if you can share our content and support us in that way. But also, if you have an opportunity on your website to promote the event, or you have the opportunity to do an offer, or you have a newsletter or a advert or something else that we can use, and please do get in touch, and we'd love to work with you on that. A bit like what Robin was saying about how you can link into the event, link into River of Light or link into gymnastics. They're going to be interlinked. We're going to be talking about those all the time at the same time. We're also going to be talking about Turner Prize. So we're going to be sharing each other's content and really working together. carry on delivering our amazing Liverpool welcome, because that's what one of our USPs, and that's the key thing. You know, that's what we want to showcase the city and get more visitors here. So tell your teams about the event. Let them be knowledgeable about the event, so when the visitors are coming in, they can say, "Oh, you've been at the gymnastics. How was the women's final tonight?" Or whatever that may be. There are commercial opportunities if people are interested in being a sponsor. Obviously, we're not going to turn you away, so please do come and speak to us. And obviously, if you want to, there are corporate hospitality opportunities as well, and they're not way high prices. They're really reasonable prices. So if that is something you're interested in, as well as just general tickets, there are corporate hospitality, and of course the volunteering if that's something you're interested in as well. You finishing up?
Sure. I think in summary, I think we've estimated the scale of this event and the profile it can give Liverpool. And I'm standing here, I'm incredibly proud of the team to where we've got today and the successes we've made. And I know there's many more successes to come. But as Jen mentioned, please, we're open to any ideas, any creativity, and get in touch with us. And we'll be happy to answer any questions later on at the panel. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, guys. Yeah, I mean, I think World Gymnastics building up really well. I was having a look at the heat map the other day of where tickets are being sold, so there's a brilliant opportunity for us to encourage those people who are travelling from all over the UK and also internationally to extend their stay in the city. That's what we want them to do. We've been it's been a long time in Bingham to make sure that we run our large-scale cultural events together with our large-scale conferences and sporting events. I think this is probably one of the times we've actually got that all working together. So it's a really great platform for you as businesses to kind of maximise off the back of that. So we're kind of getting to the home straight now. So two things to finish with, which is primarily, first and foremost, some really good news. I really believe passionately this is good news in terms of a new route coming out of Liverpool. John Lennon, Robin Tudor here today. I know the airport have worked very hard on this over the years. Really important, as I said earlier, around the context of rail travel. Really important that we are creating new conduits to bring international business in here. So it gives me great pleasure to invite Tim from Lufthansa to give you a bit of an insight into what you can expect from May this year. A new route, a new opportunity, and a great one for the city. Tim.
Hi, good morning everyone. It's still just about morning. Tom, that's all right, Chris, don't worry. There's another Tim there. We'll get to know each other well, I'm sure. Yeah, just really thank you, Chris and Suzanne and everyone here today, and Robin and the airport team as well for all the support you've given us already so far since we initially announced the route on the 17th of December in the morning with a very short notice. Our Northern director came in from Northern Europe, so to the launch event or the announcement, and he was absolutely blown away by the welcome that you guys have all talked about so far this morning, the Liverpool welcome. So thank you very much for inviting us here today and for the support so far. Coincides nicely with the testing announcement that Boris has kindly allowed all our international arrivals to come in without that additional testing. So really kind of works well for our inbound travel regardless. Just a bit about me, I'm the key account manager for the Northwest for Lufthansa Group, so really working with local businesses, whether they're our travel trade partners or corporate customers and tourist boards and others in the region to help support the Northwest and Liverpool and Lufthansa here. So you may have seen some of the artwork that Liverpool Airport created across the city. I know it is well received in the press, and there have been various campaigns since, essentially connecting Liverpool to the world again, not just Frankfurt, although Frankfurt's lovely to visit. It's the finance capital of Germany, lovely wine regions around there, but most importantly is the 150 connections globally we can therefore offer. So flying across all the continents, Asia, Africa, North America, especially Europe, of course, connecting Liverpool to each of those markets. To start off with 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Monday, and really geared up to inbound traffic So evening arrivals on Friday and Wednesday, and then leaving on Mondays and Sundays in the morning. So gearing up that either weekend traffic or longer breaks as well. So like I said, connecting over 150 global destinations via Frankfurt. It's an hour 40 flight. Frankfurt's a great product in itself. It's a huge airport, but Lufthansa and our Star Alliance partners, which is another 26 airlines we work really, really closely with, are all out of that one terminal, allowing seamless connections and quick connections globally. We're a 5-star carrier, and we're really proud of that. So Skytrax goes around, it rates everything within the air travel, from airports to the carriers, and we're the first and only European carrier with that accolade, and something we're really proud of, which highlights our premium service, with a premium economy on boards, business class on board, and then a full service economy as well. So you'd be well looked after by our colleagues on board if and when you fly with us. Important to note, I think we're still very much in our ramp-up phase post-COVID. So we were hit as hard as anyone, I think, during 2020-21, with lots of our aircraft on the ground. We're starting to really ramp that up now, serving 93, 94% of our 2019 destinations, which is great, which shows our global connectivity. And we're really just now waiting for Asia to open up, especially China, which is, I'm sure, a key market for you guys, but for us as well, to open up. And then we can add frequencies, and that will increase connectivity through those hubs. But the destination mix is there, and the demand is starting to come back really, really strongly. So just in November alone, just to give you an update, as the US opened up, and we were allowed to travel there, Europeans were allowed to travel there, those borders were open, we saw our booking velocity at the same level as 2019, even going above that. So the demand is there. Omicron slowed that down, but the demand is there, and the demand is ready to come back strongly. And we think with this relaxation of testing, it will really help our inbound travel as well. And just kind of quickly on the ramp up, what we've been doing to increase those traveller confidence and making sure that those barriers that perhaps are there, people not wanting to travel or not feeling able to travel, what can we do to make people feel safe on board? Full cleaning on board our aircraft, every turnaround, air filters on board. Did you know actually the air on an aircraft is as clean as in a doctor's surgery or in a surgery, in a surgeon's? So the air is recycled every 2 minutes. It's a kind of a common misconception that you're sat on board an aircraft and it's the same air for the next 10 hours, 12 hours, every 2 minutes. That's fully recycled, so the air is as clean as in an operating theatre. And then finally, just around sustainability, what can we do as an airline to make sure that when we have our customers travelling internationally, when they're flying with us, what can we do to make sure they feel comfortable in themselves, that they're doing the right thing sustainability-wise? So we have large offset programs. We're the biggest buyer now of sustainable aviation fuel in Europe, which is a completely different product. We're growing that quickly, reducing plastic and stuff on board, and it's a real big topic for Lufthansa Group to continue to push that message and work closely on this and really push the sustainability side. But like I said, the schedule's there. From May the 2nd is the inaugural flight, flying in from Frankfurt on that Monday morning, which is a bank holiday as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to welcoming people on board. We're starting to see some bookings coming in, which is really good, from all over within Europe, from Germany, from Scandinavia, which I know is a key market for us, but also from Africa, from Nigeria, from the US, across from Asia, which is really encouraging, all into Liverpool, all with quite a short booking time period. So yeah, and if there's anything else we can do to help support, if you have ideas that we can work together on and collaborate on to kind of build the brand and sell Liverpool internationally, or things we can do together, anything we can do together, do let me know, and I can help put you in touch at least with the right people on our side. But yeah, thank you very much. Kept that short, so I know we've got a bit of a Q&A panel discussion. I know hopefully you've got some questions as well. Importantly as well, just to end, we've just released some Valentine's promotion fares, so offering 2 for 1 in business class across our European network, and that's inbound to Liverpool as well, so we're pushing that wide. But if you're looking to travel from Liverpool at some point in this year, and it runs for the whole of 22. Do check out our 2 for 1 business promotions. Cool. Thank you very much.
A lot of romantics in this audience, Tom, so they'll be on to that. I can see the phones buzzing now. Yeah. So no, really, I think this is great news for us in terms of the international connectivity there. So again, a great platform for us. Yeah. Right. So just to finish the presentational format, and we have put in a lot today, but I think that's good in one respect because there's a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things we've missed out today we could have included. Yeah. But it's also important as we develop the offer as well, and we attract new product into the city and the city region to give us different edges and different offers to go out to our consumer audiences with. And we've got 2 of those, 2 great products coming in this year, and I'm delighted that we have the opportunity to talk about one of those in a second with Sophie at Eureka. The other one is Shakespeare North out at Prescott that will open this year. These are 2 great brands for us, 2 great opportunities. But to hear a little bit more about the Eureka, probably I should say that in a sort of louder voice, shouldn't I? The Eureka proposition over in the Wirral. Please introduce Sophie to give you a bit more information about that.
Hello. This is the first time I've presented to live actual people, so if I start getting a bit giddy, I might ask you just to do that in front of yourself and make me feel more comfortable. So my name's Sophie. I am from Eureka Science and Discovery and also Eureka, the National Children's Museum. I'm going to just zoom through various bits. I've got many, many slides, so I'm going to zoom through them a bit. Please do grab me afterwards. I'm going to stick around for as long as, well, until they kick me out of the building. I've even dusted off some business cards that haven't been out. Haven't seen the light of day in about 2 years, so it's all good. I make up 50% of our marketing team at the moment, with my boss Michelle, who comes. Some of you may have seen at different events across Liverpool. We both were talking the other day when I put the slides together and agreed that we universally hate our official staff photos, so I used our Twitter profile pictures instead. Everyone needs an 8-year-old to design their Twitter profile picture, and I've got one that you can borrow if you want. So Michelle is unable to be here today, but both of us are really keen to start getting to as many events across Liverpool as possible, particularly now that we are getting much closer to our opening. So do follow us on Twitter and get in touch and grab me afterwards. So Eureka Science and Discovery. Could you give me a quick, has anyone been to Eureka, the National Children's Museum, as a school trip, or, there's a few hands that are going to put in the room. So Eureka in Halifax is, we call it a learning through play. It's an interactive, immersive experience for children aged 0 to 11. Essentially, we want it to be a fun day out for kids, and if they learn some stuff as well, that's a bonus. Eureka Science and Discovery is slightly different. We are not just opening another Eureka here. It's something that we get asked to do quite often. We get inquiries about it quite regularly, and it's not something that we had an ambition to do. But when the opportunity came up with Spaceport here, actually we started to look at community here, the offer that you already had, our charitable remit, which is about bringing learning experiences to children from a diverse background. And we thought, actually, this is something really exciting for us. But we wanted to change the offer, grow it up a little. So the age range that we're actually catering for, rather than the 0 to 11s at Halifax, which is a children's museum, we are aiming at a 7 to 14 age group, and it's a science and discovery centre. So it's a different approach that we're taking, but we're trying to use the Eureka flavour. That's the international sign language for the Eureka flavour, if anyone wants to say. So Eureka Science and Discovery exists to encourage the how, why, and what if. We want to prompt questions, we want to prompt discussions, we want children and young people to come in and to trigger a thought, to trigger discussion, to help them start to go away and form their own opinions on things. We don't just want to present facts, we want to trigger thoughts and ambitions and ideas. That's the plan. And we've been doing this for quite a long time. It's not something that we've just started trying to develop plans for. It actually started in 2014. My colleague, Michelle, off of the Twitter profile you just saw, was the person in our office that picked up a phone call, and it was Mersey Travel. And a conversation started there, and this is where we've ended up 8 years later. I won't go through each individual bit, but you get the point. We've been doing quite a lot for quite a long time about it. This quick video, this kind of sets the scene about our ambition. This was something we did with a local agency called INNSiDE Melia, if any of you have worked with them, they've been brill. And I'll just play it.
This is the River Mersey, bang in the middle of Liverpool and the Wirral. It's a famous river linked to some really big businesses. It's a river breathing new life into the energy we use. Thing is, people never really come over our side. They mostly stay over there. But this is where Eureka comes in. They want to turn the old spaceport building into something world class. A place for us kids, where we can get creative, get stuck in and believe anything is possible. Eureka take having a laugh very seriously, so there won't be anything trapped behind glass cases, complex instructions, and definitely no signs saying do not touch. It's all about bringing something amazing for us kids in Birkenhead and Wallasey. And Eureka are even talking to us about what we'd like it to be. I mean, I don't know what I want to be when I'm older, but all this is definitely going to give me some ideas. And it's not just us kids. Grown-ups also think Eureka is boss, because they want to turn this side of the river into something incredible. Plans like the new Wirral Waters and Peel Ports Liverpool too. And everyone's gonna want to be a part of it. If we are going to make all of this happen, we need the skills to make it happen. Eureka Mersey, it's a no-brainer.
Disclaimer, no longer called Eureka Mersey. So that was the video that we used when we kind of embarking on our major fundraising for it, which has been a big chunk of the work, as you can imagine. Another key element of what we're doing that has been happening for years as well is co-creation. So when we talk about that, we at Eureka in Halifax, we develop our galleries with children. We test them with children. We tell them our ideas. They quite often tell us they're a bit rubbish, and we go away and come back with something else. But they are our fiercest and most imaginative critics and most honest critics. And what we tend to do is a three groups of experts approach. So we are the experts in creating these experiences. We work with industry experts, educational experts who can talk about the content and what's going to be going in and make sure that all of our information is factually correct. And of course we work with kids because they're experts on being kids. And so we've been doing that. We've been working with 3 schools, well, no, more than 3 schools. The 3 ones that I can always remember the name of is Bidston and, oh no, they've gone out of my brain. Bidston, Mosslands and Aldershire. Is that right? We've also been working with the Hive Youth Zone in the Wirral. We're going to be there again with them on Monday. They're going to be pitching some social media ideas to us, so that's going to be fun. But that has been, it's almost 200 children that have been part of the consultation so far, and that will continue. And because it's been over a number of years, those children some of them have been involved with us for years, so they're going to be the biggest VIPs when we do open. So where are we now? This is what was Spaceport when you look at it from the inside. We have all the demolition has been completed. First fix has all been done, and we can see there's some percentages on there for the other elements of it. It's a fascinating place to go and see. It's kind of this big empty shell at the moment, which kind of doesn't really explain how much work there's been going on. The exciting bit is going to start soon when we start bringing stuff in. And here's some of the stuff that we're going to bring in. So these are some of the prototypes. I always say with this snail picture, we need something next to it for scale, because it could be this big, in which case it'd be a bit disappointing, but it's fine. Because we've got different theme zones. There's some elements from the body zone and the nature zone, but yeah, that's working away on some of the prototypes. There's some lovely stuff. So this is what's happening this year. We are about to complete base build, so that will be kind of end of February, early March, and we will start to fit out the exhibition in August. August, September is going to be a fun one. We're going to start training some staff. And when we say testing, that's, we'll be getting people in to test it. We're good at breaking stuff, but if we really want to test it, we will start to invite some of the neighbours, some of the neighbouring communities, some of the schools we've worked with, all the children that we've worked with, will all be invited in. And in October, we'll be doing the public launch and starting to sell tickets. At some point, there's going to be a big party as well, but we'll find out when that's going to be soon. And what's inside? We've got 3 theme zones. These pictures, again, we've got loads of more recent ones, and it's going to be lovely. So there is the body zone on the left. The home zone, that's one element of the home zone. So there is a tap. The water is a digital display that comes down, and you can block the plug hole and digitally flood the bathroom and all kinds of stuff. And there's a home that you can walk through. There's a giant toaster. There's a giant kettle you can stand in. It's all a bit peculiar. But all of it is trying to prompt questions. There's a fashion area where it's talking about environmentally fashion choices, but we're doing it in a fun Eureka way. And of course, working with industry experts across Liverpool region for it. And we've also got a make and create zone, which you can probably guess what you're doing there. Johnston Science Centre is in the centre. There's going to be a space that we can use flexibly, so it's got seating that we can pull out to use as an auditorium. We can push it back to do bigger events. And there is an early learner zone. That is the only area that's going to be where the terminal is currently. So in that terminal building will be, it's the only under 5s area, and the cafe, and we are going to have a gift shop, of course, but I'm not sure where that's going to be at the moment. I wanted to introduce you to Playmaker, who's it's an agency that we worked with to develop the brand, because I'm assuming that quite a few of you are marketing people in the room. We had a bit of a challenge because people know us as working for that younger age group and as a children's museum, and we are offering something slightly different now. So we wanted to develop our brand so that it was recognisably us, but also recognisably different. And we're going from a single site operation to 2 sites. So we worked with, it's a Liverpool agency called Playmaker who've been brill, and they helped us start to differentiate between the two. We had many, many different names that we looked at and what we're going to call it this. So we went in with the working title of Eureka Mersey, and we came out with Eureka Science and Discovery via a route of about 50 other options, as you always do with these things. And also how we could physically take how our brand looks and make it look a bit more grown up and a bit cooler for young people as opposed to older children. And this is some of the work they've done. Hopefully you will start to see elements of this popping up more visually across the region as the year progresses. And we've got a little website that I spent many, many hours working on. Again, just trying to bring those elements to life. This video is quite long, so I won't keep it all on. And so that video that I started off with, we call it the Lily video. Lily was one of the kids that we were working with who was just brill, so she ended up being a bit of a star for it. And we wanted to bring it up to where we are now. So this is it's a much shorter one. Here you go. Autumn. It will be September, October. And that's it. So yeah, please do give us a follow. Please do grab me if you want to. We are really keen. We know that we're kind of new kids on the block. We do want to get involved in many networks as possible and do cross promotion and look at all those opportunities. So do please grab me or at us or drop me an email. Thank you very much.
Right, I'm conscious we're kind of running tight on time here, so I can just ask the speakers just to hop on these stools here, and then we'll see, because you've listened to a lot there, so we're more than happy to give you an opportunity now before we finish, to ask any questions of anybody that you've heard from, anything you want any more detail on. We'll obviously give you all of the information anyway, in many ways, in terms of the follow-up to this and all the contact details, so that you can get hold of all the people that you need to get hold of. Yeah. So anybody got any burning questions you want to ask of any, all, or some of that panel? No, don't force me to pull one of you out. Good man, Mr. Brian. I can rely on you.
It's just a question for Tom from Lufthansa.
Yeah.
Obviously, Liverpool Airport does connect to places like Berlin or Amsterdam or these other international hubs, but via kind of Ryanair and EasyJet.
Yeah.
Will you guys offer the service of obviously checking that luggage all the way through when you check in at Liverpool Airport? Because I know that Ryanair, sure, you can fly to Amsterdam and go and connect to a KLM, but you've got to check out, collect your luggage, check back in. And will you offer that kind of full service of like checking your luggage right through to like a final destination and stuff like that?
Yeah, totally. Really, really good question. Thank you for asking. So yeah, it would be from end to end. So from when you checked in at Liverpool, you dropped off your bags, or if you were travelling hand baggage only, and when you went straight through the terminal through to the departures lounge, you'd board your flight in Liverpool, you'd fly to Frankfurt, and then your end destination, whether that was somewhere in Europe or somewhere in Africa, you would go all the way through. You wouldn't enter Germany till you'd be checked all the way through. Your luggage would go all the way through, the same as it would with any kind of other network carrier, so BA or KLM. So that's the real kind of, I think, thing that we're offering, something different from Liverpool now compared to those low-cost carriers, is that seamless connections via our hubs in Frankfurt. Yeah.
Anyone else? Now, Julie, I'll give you a chance because you're from the bid. I see you stuck up the back. You can't avoid me up there, you see. Yeah. So, in the absence of Mr. Addy, who's scooting around the French Alps, I can just go because the bid are, come across in a number of parts of these conversations. But, Julie, any context from you on what you've heard today?
Thanks a lot, Chris. I'd just like to ask when this is going to be communicated widely. All of the things that we can look forward to 2022. It's fantastic, all the things we've heard about today, but obviously we need to be able to get this message out further and get it to our levy payers in bid areas.
Yeah, I mean, it probably one for me that, I mean, it probably a bit of Robin as well. I mean, what we focused on today is kind of very much about what's new. So we've got, of course, a lot of things that already take place, yeah? And, you know, one of those is, I see Anders up there in the Liverpool tennis tournament that takes place here every year as well. We've got lots of events that are already taking place. So the context of this is integrating what's new and what's already here to create the overarching programme. We launched that primarily in December with main press and media outside of the area, because we have to, and we do that with Visit Britain as well, because we have to give them the calendar further out. Now that we've kind of got out of the Omicron, well, we hope we started to come out the other side of Omicron, we'll now step up the positioning of all of this event across. So this is kind of the first run of this, really. So what we'll do from here is then begin to position that within the local stakeholders and the markets that we're trying to get to. So we'll kind of form certainly part of our spring campaign, and we'll start to permeate through everything we do in terms of connecting. Yeah? But we want to try and get this kind of key message out that it's not just about the event, it's about what the legacy of that event is, and it's about using the event as a catalyst to discover other parts of the city as well, so that we get more dwell time. So that's got to get that kind of marriage right between those two things. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that in terms of public comms, it will be in the next fortnight, I think, when we put some stuff out there. How much kind of detail we go into around that is sort of TBC on a couple of things, but in terms of talking about, you know, the bones of a programme, and in particular, here's a big summer block, here's a big autumn block, I know Cleon's doing it next week, but I'm trying to push it into the week after, so I think it'll probably be in the next fortnight. So in terms of then being able to go out to, you know, levy payers and sort of creating excitement, yeah, I think in the next kind of, you know, week to 10 days, hopefully we should be able to do that.
Thanks, Robin. It was just really for
I'm not sure you get two questions, by the way.
Sorry, it's still the same question. So the businesses can plan, totally. Particularly the likes of the restaurants. I know they want to look forward to these big things in the summer. And just recently, with the Taste Liverpool in particular, some of our board members hadn't heard about that, and they were concerned that they hadn't heard, and it's about to happen in the summer. So I think the sooner we can get the message out, the better.
Yeah, I mean, that's Bill's fault. No, no, I think in terms of, so I think there's two strands that aren't there. I think in terms of when we're reaching out to businesses, I think that can be early next week. We know there's enough to be able to start going out to businesses in terms of like opportunity for engagement around taste and around River of Light, like we talked about earlier. And I think, yeah, that kind of wider sort of talking sort of in terms of like B2C, probably more in the next kind of fortnight. But I don't think there's a reason why we couldn't start the taste stuff next week, right? That's the plan, I think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in an ideal world, we'd be miles ahead of this in many ways. I think it's in one respect, it's the kind of challenge around planning at the moment. It's the difficulty about making sure we can put a plan in with some degree before we start financially committing to that plan, that we've kind of got half a semblance is going to take place. That's half the difficulty in terms of the window is a lot tighter than it would normally be in that space, because we want to kind of know that we've got a fair chance of being able to deliver this stuff, and the factors will be that we don't end up getting more and more postponements. So that's a little bit of why that window. So we do have a bit of accelerant to do now over the next month or so to make sure that it gets embedded, and hopefully we are able to deliver it all. If we can deliver all of this, then we're going to have a good year, and that's the kind of context. But yeah, you're right. Normally we're announcing this back in October last year. Jane.
Hi, Chris. Really, from a marketing and comms people in the room, we've always worked really strategically and closely with Culture Liverpool and all the partners. I think for me, it's kind of the detail of the major event planning. Robin, maybe if we can get a follow-up with maybe a smaller comms group, where we can start looking about how we can kind of populate and add in our own events that will then bolster that programme. And I'd be really supportive of getting a bit more detail on that as soon as we can, really, so we can all jump in and get our hands dirty,
Yeah, I mean, there's a consistent theme between what you're saying there, Julie. I mean, and for you guys as well, is about, creating the programme and then communicating the programme and then getting the audiences we want to come here. And as Robin said earlier, we know that's going to be a bit challenging because the event programmes across the country are massively congested because of postponements, because of everybody packing everything in. So getting the cut through in this space is really quite important, which is why we're kind of trying to bring in, which is why we concentrated today very much on new, not the fact that we don't understand everything that's existing, but we've got to find cut through, and we've got to find different ways of delivering the events as well, and make them a little bit more different to what somebody might be doing, a different food festival to what somebody else is doing. But I think that comms group idea will follow that. It's a good idea. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, anything from Faye and from ACC, big important stakeholder of ours?
As a private sector, we've all been working really closely together, and I think I would just echo the key theme that Robin brought out. We as a business are here to serve our communities, so we've started some stakeholder engagement over the last couple of months, but we most certainly do not have a monopoly on great ideas. So I very rarely get contact with great ideas from the business community or from our residential communities, but we're here, we're listening, our doors are open. So I would just encourage people around the room to say, look, come to us, engage with us, share thoughts, share ideas, and the more we can keep that partnership, almost like an ecosystem sort of idea going in Liverpool, then we'll make sure that it is inclusive growth and that we are doing things that are successful for everyone. So I think that's, for me, that's a key theme that's been a success for last year that I really want us to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think we kind of learned over COVID in a certain respect that all parts of this economy work slightly differently, but actually once you take one brick out of the wall, all the bricks start collapsing. So there is a need for us to cross change, and an impact on the hospitality sector has an impact on tourism, has an impact on retail, has an impact. So I think a lot of what we're talked about today is not so much about here's an event, sit back, wait for the event to come and see what happens. It's about how do you integrate all of that so that actually you're right in the heart of that rather than at the back end of it. And I think it'd be fair to say we've got a bit of work still to do in that space. There's still more to do in terms of getting everybody to get that sort of sense of destination feel. And that's really how we're going to do these events. And it's a lot of work we've started to do with residents as well, in terms of, because a lot of residents, and, we've got some deprived areas of our city, and some of them don't even touch the sides of getting involved in stuff in city centres because it's beyond their budgets, it's beyond so that's one of the key things. I know Jen's been working out with Stuart on the gymnastics. We've got to make sure that people who would say, actually, I would love to go to gymnastics, but I'll never be able to afford to go to gymnastics, got to give that dream alive somehow. So we've got to bring that together, but we've also got to do that in the context of recognising that we've got a lot of other challenges to deal with, a lot of city centre challenges, you know, particularly, and you know, John will know that from the nighttime economy around knife crime and various other things that are underpinning antisocial behaviour, all those kind of things that shape the experience, making sure that that welcome can be effectively seen. So a lot of things that sit below the base of this, the sexy bits in a way, that we've also got to get right as far as the management, the running of city centres, the kind of organisation of all that, engaging our community, engaging our residents and all this. It's a big complex issue. And I think what we're trying to do through a lot of this artistic and cultural activity is to begin to look at how that embraces everybody and how everybody has an opportunity to participate in that.
Can I say two quick things on that as well, which are sort of building on what Faith said, I think. First is that I think what we're trying to do is, in the programme and going forward, is we're trying to flatten a lot of things that were pre-COVID, flatten a few expectations. So I don't want to speak on behalf of Faye, but obviously there is probably an expectation, an existing expectation of what ACC is about and the kind of events that can be there. And what we've been working with, I'm working with Ben and Faye's team about actually saying, how can we think differently about how we might utilise that space? And not be like, I won't even talk to those people because that's a price point I can't get to. Actually, there's smart models that are out there. And I think that the idea that somehow, because Boris has said COVID has ended, it has, is kind of a challenge. And secondly, I think that we, at our peril, think we're going to go back to where we were. And I think the expectation of audiences and the expectation of business is totally different. And I think that we have to recognise that. And so I think the idea that, as Chris alluded to, we're now going to stage a programme in 22 and we're going back to where we were in 2018, it's just not going to happen, right? Everything's different. And the build on that is, I think, and we're finding this quite a lot, is getting people engaged relatively straightforward. Getting them in a room is really, really, really hard. And actually the dropout in terms of even ticketed events is so much higher than it was pre-pandemic. And partly that's because of people still getting COVID, but also I think there is still just a general lack of confidence around some of that space. So I think that we are going to have to work twice as hard as we did previously. I think, again, why our pushing around, let's create these packages of content aren't just, oh, here's this one project, but actually here's an event with this, and this. You're creating a reason to drive an audience into the city centre. I think without that, we are going to see real drop-off, and we're also going to see people just deciding to not come to stuff. And lots of people have had quite a nice time during the pandemic, being at home and discovering their own, and we just probably need to we have to work harder. I don't know if anyone saw the English Heritage stuff that came out today about how localised properties for English Heritage have gone through the roof. Because actually, audiences have discovered things on the doorstep they're just going back to, right? And so actually some of their bigger properties are struggling a little bit, so which is good in one way, but not so we're going to have to just take that into how we maximise the opportunity for our local audience to make sure they do come to stuff. I think it's going to be a real challenge.
Great. Julia.
Hi guys, thank you very much. My question is actually for Sophie. I absolutely love that. I live in the world, so for me it's incredible that we're going to have that at our doorstep. And also coming from my background in education, but now working with hospitality. So my question to Eureka is that from a hospitality perspective industry, like we've been trying to change the mentality around the industry. Obviously, I think there is a huge realization of the impact of our industry within the city, but also within the country. And obviously, one of the things that we are trying to work as even an association in the city is to kind of come up with a campaign that will educate people, but especially directed to that market that you mentioned, the personas, which is like the kids from 9 until 14. So we know there's a lot of work to be done in terms of, changing the stigmas and the way people think about our industry in order to be able to attract more talent, to stay within the industry, study, and also all of the other ambitions we have for Liverpool as, probably, possibly in the future, why not, a gastronomic destination, not just for tourists, but also for talents. So my question to you is there anything we can do with Eureka in that sense, since you're going to have, I know that you have your installations, all your projects led in there, but I was thinking about, I don't know if you're going to have scope for changing and introducing new things, different activities that we could hone and leverage within our industry as well and get into those kids.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say is based on the way that we work in Halifax is we don't want to work in isolation. We very much are an outward-facing organisation with regards to businesses in our area. For anyone who doesn't know, Halifax and the Calderdale area, there's a real mix of experiences there. Slightly insane at the moment with Marvel filming there, so everything's closed off, but it's not usually like that. And it's something that we're keen to do. And the content, we tend to do a range of permanent content, which has like a 10 to 15 year life cycle, and we have other content within there that changes regularly. Obviously workshops and activities and working with local schools, that education programme is something that we review constantly. So I don't know what it would be, but we are open to those, and we are open to those conversations.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. The other thing I would just say in closing that also keep an eye out for the Batman film. Will be launched shortly in March. Has some brilliant imagery of Liverpool within it, and you know, I think you'll recognise it, but it's a really, you know, the coverage that gets. So the work in our film industry is you know, grows and grows and grows, and there's some really exciting stuff coming out of that, you know, particularly with the development of the depot and the Littlewoods as well. So that is another part of our sector that is really going to grow and develop. So you can see there are lots of, hopefully the context of what I said right at the very start was to create this as a positive session amidst all the recognition of challenges. I hope the discussions that have been held today have given you that sense of positivity. Hopefully they've given you a lot of ideas to get in contact with these guys and follow through on ideas and thoughts. I think each and every speaker has said we welcome your input. So, you know, hope you'll take advantage of that. But first of all, you know, thanks very much for coming. Thanks for sparing time. I know it takes a bit out of your time on you know, a couple of hours or so out of your diary. So I hope you found it beneficial and worthwhile. That's the most important thing. Feedback, anything you would like us to see covering at future events, or things that you don't think we've covered enough today, we'll build it into the next part of our programme. Thanks very much to Scott and the team here at INNSiDE in terms of, you know, great welcome, great facilities, and you know, as he says, many of you have already come across the Sky Bar, probably been in the Sky Bar too much, but another great addition to the city, but also to our partners, London Northwestern, brilliant. You know, really look forward to working with you guys in the future. Our colleagues at the bid as ever, but you know, a big shout out to our guys at MSP as well. The event sector and these guys have gone through an exceptionally hard time in recent times, so we're glad to have the opportunity of giving them a chance to put their focus, but you know, they've got a lot to go forward with as well. So we look forward to kind of pulling some of this day together. Some of those ideas that you were putting that come out there are in comms, how we can do things better in that space. You know, come and ask us, because you know, not all the channels we have are going to get us all the audiences we need. We need your channels as well as others, and we need you to amplify and talk about what a great city we have here and what a great opportunity it is for people to get here in 22. So thanks very much. I think the guys will be about outside if you want to catch them or grab any of those dusty business cards or whatever. But I would like to just thank all the panelists for today for giving up their time to contribute. I'm sure you'd like to join in just saying thank you to them.